Good morning, Adam Grocke from Johnston Grocke, and welcome to the Finance Update for February 2019. Been a slow start for myself. I took a few weeks off, about a month off, for the birth of my second daughter, which has been fantastic. Paris Mia Grocke, and both mum and bub's doing very, very well. Best time of your life, but also the most challenging time of your life for all the parents out there, but it's been great. Look, today we're going to cover two key things. One is how competitive the market is at the moment in terms of interest rates for refinancing, a great opportunity, and also the Royal Commission. The Royal Commission's come out with some really good recommendations, some common sense one, but then in my opinion they've completely missed the boat on the banks, and now the brokers have been thrown under the bus. So I'll be asking for your support as well. First one, interest rates. For refinancing, we've got some absolutely cracking deals out there at the moment. If you're an owner-occupier, or if you have clients that are owner-occupiers, they own their own home, you can now refinance at 3.55%, extremely low. One of the lowest rates I've seen out there ever. It is extremely cheap money. So let us know, or pass that information on to your clients if you do want some help. And if you're an investor looking to refinance, some really cheap money out there as well at 3.89%. So we haven't seen a good solid interest rate like that for some time. It just shows that the market is finding that there's less people looking for money at the moment because of all the policy changes. So now they're trying to find a point of difference by lowering their interest rate, essentially dropping their pants, and that's great for consumers to try and get the cheapest interest rate out there. So refinancing is really hot at the moment, both for owner-occupiers, 3.55%, and investors, 3.89%. Just on the Royal Commission, look, I will ask for everyone, if you can take some time and sign the petitions that I'll have at the bottom of this email and also at the bottom of this video, because the Royal Commission, the two recommendations that came out that I think are fundamentally flawed is the first one is the bank's vertical integration. So what that means is a bank can actually produce a product, a financial product, and then they can sell it through their advice arm. Now, when consumers go to their advice arm, now their advice arm being a financial planner, they do expect that financial planner will act in their best interest. However, because they are owned by the bank, the Royal Commission found that the banks were pushing unsuitable products to those consumers for the benefit of that individual banker and the benefit of the bank. And they were putting the bank first and not putting the consumer first, and they weren't acting in the best interest. Now, that's a fundamental flaw. The banks could see this coming throughout the Royal Commission. They decided to separate, and some even sell off their financial planning arms, their advice arms. That's how serious this was. You know, talking hundreds and hundreds of billion-dollar businesses they've decided to sell off. But the Royal Commission came out, and his recommendation was that it's too costly and too disruptive to change that behaviour and to separate the product developer and producer from the advice business. Now, to me, that's a fundamental flaw, because the advice that people are going to get from the banking financial planners is going to be conflicted, because they are pushed to sell their product, and the margins are greater if they sell their own product. So the consumer is not going to get the individual advice or independent advice that they're seeking. Absolutely fundamental flaw. And to me, that message says that the Royal Commission and the government says the banks are now too big to fail, which again is a fundamental flaw, because if they're too big to fail, they'll continue having the power they've got, and they'll also continue with the even criminal behaviour that's been happening that has been at the detriment of the consumer. Some of that behaviour is charging dead people for fees, charging fee for no advice, ripping people off for selling them products that haven't been suitable for them. And the stories that have come out of this, there's been people, families that have been absolutely devastated because of this, and unfortunately the banks aren't being held to account on this. The second fundamental flaw is that the brokers have been thrown under the bus. Quite a strategic play by the banks, in particular Commonwealth Bank. They're trying to get more of the market share that the brokers are taking. Consumers are voting with their feet. Brokers now write 60% of every single loan that is written across Australia. People have seen the value in a broker, and people are liking the service that a broker can offer compared to a bank. Just to give some facts and some figures to that to support it, since brokers have come into the market, interest rates have reduced by 2%. Because there's more competition in the market. When it was just the big four and a couple second-tier lenders, they could charge a higher interest rate. Their margin between the cash rate and what they would lend that money out at was 2% greater than what it is now. So brokers are great for competition. The second point is that the Royal Commission started because there were so many complaints in the banking sector. True numbers, about 6,500 complaints were heard And of that, only 32 related to brokers. So 6,500 complaints, but only 32 of those were actually in relation to brokers. Now that means that the brokers are not the systemic cause here. We don't have the issues that they've had, or the bad culture, or the bad advice, or even the criminal activities that have occurred within the banking system. However, the Royal Commission's recommendation was that all commissions should be stopped for brokers. Now we have to, by law, disclose our commissions. Our clients are well and truly aware of how much we earn. We disclose that, we share that information. They ask, how do you guys get paid? The banks pay us. They pay us a commission, and that commission is actually, instead of them having a branch and paying the overheads for a branch, instead of having a branch that has 9 or 10 staff in it, instead of paying a banker to write that loan, as brokers, we have to wear all those overhead and those expenses ourselves. We've got to have our own office, we've got to have our own staff, our own systems, our own IT support, our own marketing campaigns. So the bank pays us that fee instead of having that as an in-house cost. We disclose that, that's fine. But the level of complaints that were heard was not focused at the brokers. However, the banks have got out of this pretty much scot-free, and I do believe that behaviour is going to continue after the recommendations of the Royal Commission. The other thing is, if that commission's cut, the broking industry will disappear overnight. As of 1 July next year, trail commissions are gone. That's what the Liberal government has said, and also Labor has said if they get into government, they'll cut all commissions immediately. Now, that means the 20,000 brokers that are out there will disappear overnight. Our revenue stream has completely dried up. Consumers have said they are not willing to pay a broker $2,000 for a fee. And I agree with that. Why should they pay when the banks are going to make the profit? All we're doing by closing down the broking industry is meaning more clients are going to go to the banks. And if more clients go to the banks make more money, the banks have more power, competition decreases, and consumers are going to get ripped off even more than what they have. It also kicks out the second and third tier lenders. ING only has brokers that distribute their loans. Okay, they can't compete against the big four if the broking industry is gone. Same with Suncorp and Liberty and a range of different other lenders that have increased competition. Out of all the clients surveyed, 96% of clients said they were happy with brokers. So it's all the facts and figures are overwhelming that the broker channel increases competitions, provides better consumer outcomes, and also keeps the banks honest. So we need to make sure that it stays. So I do ask everyone to sign the petitions. There's 2 petitions, one's with the MFAA and one's with change.org. I have met with members of Parliament, and they said the best way to do this is for the public to voice their concerns, sign the petitions, keep pushing this out in the public arena, because that pressure will be heard and will actually have an influence. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate your support. If you've got any questions, let me know. 2019 is going to be a good year. We'll adapt, we'll change, we'll make sure we're ahead of the curve. That's what's made us a successful business so far. If you've got any clients that need help, we're more than happy to help them out. Thank you very much and have a great day.